Okay, welcome to this video. We're going to look at how to make some buttons on your GUI, since that's kind of new in case you can't remember. So I will show you how to get your GUI kind of built up and how to place things on there. Now, hopefully whatever GUI you're trying to make, I have probably given you a skeleton to work on, but whatever thing that you're working in, whatever GUI is, he probably is a JFrame. He has some private member variables. Don't be scared of those private member variables. They're just data types, just like an int or a double or a Pac-Man, except for their JPanels, JButtons, JText fields. Now, in this particular example, I have declared a whole bunch of buttons, but they don't exist yet. So, just for example, if you run it, there's nothing on here. So, what you want to do if you're going to set those things up, you want to go into the constructor for the GUI. So this GUI, when this GUI is born, he does some stuff, and then you're going to want to create these buttons. So they're declared here. This guy's name is Blue Button. So I'll give birth to him. I have to call his constructor new, and then the data type, which is JButton. And then you can put some label on there. It doesn't have to say blue. It could say whatever you want to. That'll be the label on the button. Now this is really bizarre, but very important, and this is something that's really frustrating when you forget it. That button is absolutely useless unless someone is listening to him. And so you want to, whoops, what's the name of that function? Add action. No, let me try this again. Somebody has to listen to that button, so you're going to talk to that button, and then add an action listener, and so that button is going to realize that somebody's listening to him, and what I want to happen is I want this GUI to listen to that button. Now if you forget this line, then the button doesn't do anything at all, ever, which is kind of sad. Now, one other thing we need to deal with is when you do this, the button still doesn't exist. Well, it doesn't show up. It exists. We created it and we instantiated it, but it does not show up on the GUI. And that's something else that's hard to remember, is that just because you instantiated it doesn't mean that you can see it. So if you want it to show up, you're going to have to tell this GUI to add the button, and then I'm going to tell it exactly where I want it. If I can spell. Whoop. Okay. So now that we got this, we've got the button. We instantiated it, and then we put it on the frame in the north, and there it is. Oh, hey, it already works. I didn't even know I did that. Okay, so let's talk about what your button does. Now, when you click the button, this program will listen to it. And what happens is when you click that, it creates an event. That's actually going to trigger you an event that sends you down here to this action performed. So this function here, anytime you press a button, it's going to hop down here, and basically what this says is if the source of that action was the blue button, if the blue button is the thing that they pressed, then I will do this, and I'll tell the canvas to be blue. Okay, so this function here handles all the action, whatever goes on. Now, that is the basics of creating a button, and that's really all there is to it. Canvas, in case you're wondering, is just a JPanel. That's sitting there. I'd already put that there. It's the thing that's in the center. So when you run this, that big white space is his name is Canvas. This guy's name is Blue Button. This guy, when I click him, screams out action performed, which sends you down to the action performed function. The action performed function says, well, if it was because you pressed that, then I will do that action. And that's the basics of creating a button.